Yo, what's up guys? Got PokeaimMD here with another competitive Pokemon Sun and Moon Moveset video, guide, analysis, whatever you want to call it. This time we're going to be talking about Alolan Ninetales. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to say there's a playlist down below I encourage you to check out if you missed any of my previous moveset videos. Also, I encourage you to follow me on Twitch and Twitter. Those links are down below. Now, Alolan Ninetales is Ice and Fairy. There's some good things and some bad things with that. Ice doesn't give Fairy anything defensively. If anything, it just gives Alolan Ninetales a weakness to Rock and Fire, and then a 4x weakness to Steel. But being part Fairy type gives it some nice resistances like Bug and Dark. Also an immunity to Dragon. Though, of course, it is also weak to Poison on top of that. But offensively, Ice and Fairy is really cool typing, but that's not the really nice thing about Alolan Ninetales. The difference between Alolan Ninetales and regular Ninetales is obviously being Ice Fairy over Fire, but Alolan Ninetales got base 109 speed, which hits 348. And on top of that, well, this doesn't matter as much, but it has a lowered attack stat. But just like regular Ninetales having Drought, Alolan Ninetales does have access as its hidden ability to Snow Warning. Snow Cloak is its other ability, but that's generally not going to be used on Alolan Ninetales at all. You don't use this mon to evade in Hail, you use it to set up the Hail. So that's really cool for Alolan Ninetales, just because in this generation we do have a new ability as well called Slush Rush, that if you have a Pokemon with that, their speed doubles in Hail. On top of that, it has a new move in itself called Aurora Veil, which for 5 turns, damage to its allies is half. So basically, it's Light Screen and Reflect in one move for 5 turns. Now, the first set we have is the Veil, I like to call it. This is just your standard bulky Alolan Ninetales. I do want to say one thing before we keep going as well. This is a Pokemon that can function in so many different tiers. Currently right now, I believe it's tiered in RU just based on usage, but it can function in RU, UU, and OU just as an offensive Aurora Veil setter. You've heard of, or you've seen Espeon for dual screens in Magic Guard. Well, this is kind of like Espeon in the sense where Aurora Veil is just Light Screen and Reflect in one move. Another thing I want to note is that Aurora Veil does stack with Light Screen. So if you have Espeon on the team, which is a very good teammate, and I'll talk about that. If you have Espeon on the team and it sets up Light Screen and Reflect, you can then set up your Aurora Veil, and what that allows you to do is take even less. So Aurora Veil does stack with Light Screen and Reflect. So Aurora Veil has to be used on Hail, which is why Snow Warning is such a great ability. The first set, the Veil, just your standard max speed, max HP, well, near max HP because you are weak to Rock. So 248 HP, the rest is put into special attack. Light Clay is the preferred item because that gives you 8 turns of Aurora Veil instead of 5, so it goes with Aurora Veil as well as, Light Screen and Reflect. The second move is either Encore or Disable. Because this is more of a support Pokemon, Encore is actually very nice on Ninetales because you can bring it in on like a bulkier Pokemon going for Wish or Recover, Encore them, lock them into that. Disable is also very nice, again for the same reason. If your opponent wants to go for Recover and try and recover up again, stall out your Aurora Veil, you can do that. Blizzard is a very strong Hail type attack, Ice type attack that Ninetales can spam with 100% accuracy in the snow. Or in the Hail rather. So in the Snow Warning, you can go for Blizzard with 100% accuracy, but Freeze Dry is also an option which allows you to have super effective hits on water types, especially in the tier that Ninetales is in. This allows you to hit Pokemon like Ludicolo, Seismitoad, Swampert, Milotic, Alomola for super effective damage, but Blizzard is just generally a strong attack. And then Moonblast is your last option. It gives you your Fairy Stab, hits super effectively against dragons, obviously, fighting types, just to name some, but as well as dark types, obviously. But this set, like I said, can be used in any tier. I've used it in RU, I've used it in UU, and I've used it in OU. Just because it's dual screens, you pair this thing with like setup mons like Porygon, like Salamence, and it just puts in so much work. So the idea of this mon is set up the Hail. Doesn't necessarily have to be a team that is based around Hail, but just set it up so you can go for your Aurora Veil. And Blizzard is also good on this. Our Freeze Dry is also good if you're playing with a Weather War and your opponent brings in a Sandstorm user, because Aurora Veil only works under Hail. I want to stress that. It only works under Hail. So that allows it to get it up under Hail. So if your opponent does have, if it's a Weather War, they have a range setter, which is why Freeze Dry is nice. It's Pelipper as well as Politoed. Pelipper 4 times effective damage, Politoed for 2 times effective damage. Max speed is ran because you want to be able to get up your screen. This allows you to speed tie an RU specifically with Healerlisk, as well as outspeeding Pokemon like Non, Scarf, Mienshao, base 100s, everything under base 109. So max speed is your only use. And yeah, let's just keep going on. So we have an offensive screen. This is more an offensive take. It doesn't have the best special attack, but considering Blizzard is a really, really powerful attack, it can hit hard. So it's just an offensive Light Clay version with Moonblast Blizzard. The last move can either be Hidden Power or Freeze Dry. Hidden Power Fire can be used to hit Steel types. You can also use Hidden Power Fighting. That allows you to hit against Steel and Rock types. And then Freeze Dry is again a better option on the offensive set because this allows you to hit Pokemon like Jellicent, Slowbro, as well as Slow King, just for super effective damage with that. Just bulky waters in general. Hidden Power can be used, but I just want to let you know if you use Hidden Power Fire, it's pretty weak. It's pretty weak. Even versus Pokemon like Metagross in the tier that it's in. But Hidden Power Fire can also be used versus Pokemon like Scizor. And we're actually going to skip the Nastyplot set for a second and go to the UU bulky screens. My boy PK actually made this spread, and I've been using it a lot in UU. But the idea of this set is 144 HP, 112 defense, max speed. And what that allows you to do that is in UU, there's Pokemon such as Scizor running around, regular Scizor. Choice Band Scizor is very common in UU. This allows you to live a bullet punch under Aurora Veil and get off a Hidden Power Fire. If you're not running this spread, you're not going to be able to take a bullet punch. But Hidden Power Fire does about 66% to Mega Scizor, or excuse me, not Mega Scizor, to regular Scizor, Choice Band Scizor, which is really key damage if you're going for game with like a Pokemon like Dragonite and you don't want to use your Supersonic Sky Strike or things like that. Though Dragonite did just get banned, but it's just chip damage. So this is a spread, a Moonblast, Blizzard, Hidden Power Fire, but just to be able to take Scisor's Bullet Punch. And I thought it was definitely worth noting as I had a lot of success with this spread. So next up we have Nastyplot Ninetales. It's just a more offensive variant to Ninetales because it can function as a sweeper. It also has access to Calm Mind, but I wouldn't use that because yeah, that does let you take special attacks better, but being Ice type, you have a bunch of weaknesses already. Just off the type of, just off the bat, like you just have a bunch of weaknesses, so it doesn't have the best, and it's also weak to Stealth Rock as well. So, just Nastyplot. Blizzard hits incredibly hard at +2. Moonblast, your Fairy Stab. Then the other option is Hidden Power or Freeze Dry. I like Freeze Dry. Like I said, hits Pokemon like bulky waters for a ton of damage, super effective damage, and Stab on top of that. And Life Orb is the item of choice. Now, a few other options it does have. Hypnosis is an option if you want to be able to put your opponent to sleep. 60% of the time you can hit that. Nice support. Toxic is also good for where if you're not running Freeze Dry. It's also good for bulky Pokemon that might want to come in like Porygon. Roar is pretty cool because it does force switches. Couple that with hazards. Couple that with the hail damage, which is doing 6% every turn. You get off some damage. And Dark Pulse is an option just because it hits Pokemon like Bronzong and Metagross for more. At +2, a Life Orb Dark Pulse can knock out max HP Choice Band Metagross. Obviously, be wary about Bullet Punch, but it doesn't always run that on the Choice Band set. So, Dark Pulse is a cool option. I want to note, though, that Blizzard will hit usually any Ghost and Psychic type harder than a Dark Pulse, a super effective Dark Pulse. Blizzard will usually hit them harder unless it's obviously like Jellicent or something like that. Other options also include Icy Rock, so you can have 8 turns of Hail. Though I absolutely love Light Clay on this Mon. Just having 8 turns to set up of dual screens in one move. So it's amazing for it. But Icy Rock can be used if you're using it on a Hail sort of team. But let's go for some teammates. So first off, we'll go to this side. Espeon, I already mentioned how Light Screen and Reflect do stack with Aurora Veil, so you're taking even less damage if Light Screen, Reflect, and Aurora Veil are up. So Espeon is an amazing partner in the UU tier. SD Absol, ridiculous partner as well. It appreciates the Aurora Veil up, so it can actually set up its Swords Dances. Porygon appreciates the Aurora Veil up, so it can go for its Z conversion, which you already know what that thing does. +1 all the stats, making Porygon a ridiculous sweeper. Sandslash, if you're maybe using a sort of Hail team, Sandslash, Beartic, both have Slush Rush. Sandslash can also provide Rapid Spin support. which is why Espeon is also a good answer, and Absol, because they provide magic bounce support for Stealth Rock. So Sand Slash and Beartic are both very, very, very solid Hail abusers. Haxorus and Feraligatr are both Pokemon that can set up Dragon Dances under Aurora Veil and appreciate the extra bulk. There's also a bunch of, pretty much any setup mon you can think of. Charizard X, Volcarona, Salamence, Dragonite, Gyarados. Every single setup mon appreciates the dual screens. They appreciate, which is, Aurora Veil. They appreciate that. That way it's an easier setup. So, Ninetales, again, is usually used more as set up the Veil, get on out of there. You can definitely set it up one time and then set it up and die, or you can set it up later on during the game. Like, I've set it up multiple times just because of its high speed tier, which is why you generally go max speed. Outspeeding Pokemon, and specifically RU Heliolisk, you speed out with that. You also outspeed Non-Scarf Mienshao. But then also 348 is pretty cool because it allows you to outspeed Pokemon like Garchomp in the higher tiers. Allows you to outspeed Pokemon like Keldeo, like Terrakion. So, really solid support mon. Doesn't really have the bulk, but Aurora Veil just makes up for that. And like I said, generally you want to pair it with setup sweepers. You're not trying to pair it with anything defensively that takes hits for it, because Ninetales, unless you're using Nastyplot, it's not usually a sweeper. It's a support mon for a lot of Pokemon. But it's a really good solid, it's a very solid, consistent support mon that can be used in RU or OU. And I definitely encourage you to check it out. Also in RU, Bruxish does have Psychic Fangs, which breaks a Veil. So if you're using an RU, pair it with something that can deal with Bruxish, a faster electric type like Heliolisk, which doesn't care about Aqua Jet, obviously, because of dry skin, can Vultures around and deal with it. So that's a good partner. But without further ado, we'll just leave it there. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys all enjoyed. Of course, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, do your thing. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye, friends.